presiding, the one that's the dean right now is Dr. Sar Kazriel bin Yahuda. Also, me being the dean here at the Mighty Hebrew University, along with Prince Hasiel International Academy, I will be coming out of the records that I put together through footwork research. See, this is the problem with our people. We're trying to argue things that have been interpreted by your Gentiles. Remember the book of Daniel, it says that you're a Gentile have a time and a half, a time and a time and a half, a time to rule. So we're talking about the power to define. So if you're talking about the power to define, is those that are in control concealing their intentions and to keep us in the dark. So whoever is the conqueror, they're the ones with the controlling thing. This is the bottom line. If you're talking about today's academia and archaeology, paleontology, anthropology, whatever, who is the main source that control all these things, regardless of what we try to say? The same ones that enslaved us are the ones that control these things. A lot of these people like Garfield, Davis, they need to stop lying, saying that these things are universally based in principle, but they're not. It is a bias within the academia world to continue to keep the so-called white power structure on top. So let's keep going. I want to quote from the School of the Prophets Institute, the late Chancellor, Prince Dr. Shaliah bin Yahuda, the founder of the School of the Prophets of Bimuna, Israel, Northeastern Africa. He says history must backtrack in giant steps to come to a spiritual reconciliation and acknowledgement of truth, which is salvation. So we have to redefine our own history. We can no longer let your Gentiles or Europeans define our history for us. We have to define it for ourselves. That's just the bottom line. Because anybody that's defining your history, they're the ones that are the controlling element. Like, if you come to Africa, you have national history, which came by the way of the colonizers, and then you have those that, 6 to 8, we're told to seek wisdom from the elders and our fathers that came before us. So if that be the case, why do we keep using academia as a premise or a standard to deal with our historical reality? Now, we can use it if we're talking about comparative study, we can do that. But when you talk about it in the sense of trying to use it in the sense of defining our history, that's a problem. Let's go to Ben Ami. He says, after all the philosophizing has been done, we must conclude. There we go again, y'all. I told you, blackout. So I got my candle. It'll be back on. It does that. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So let me read that again from the top. I know y'all with me. Hallelujah. Giving all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers. I'm in the head, Scott, cool, Sharp from Excellency. I say to the family, Shalom Aleichem. After the philosophy has been done, we must conclude that truth is merely the right knowledge of reality. The major problem with humanity at this time is not so much having access to truth, but accepting truth and doing truth. So that's the major problem within our communities, man. Nobody can dictate Hebrew Israelite culture but Hebrew Israelites. That's just the bottom line. The only ones that can dictate our culture is Hebrew Israelite Southern Nationalists. This is why the film Hebrew Cosmogenesis, with who are the elders though? Oh, we're getting Hebrews in the mix. You have the Hebrews that's like my age. Yeah, no. Everybody I said all Torah only. So you ain't got to worry about that. Lions Den. The elders that taught me were all Torah 7. You see what I'm saying? The difference means ancient one. But to get into what I'm saying, the era that I came out of, because I got almost 31 years in this culture. There was no social media. There was no internet. So we had to actually sit under the feet of real elders. And we would go to different communities such as Shemrei HaTorah, Brit HaTorah, Bnei Adat, Kifraim, I just give it way back. You know what I'm saying? Kifraim, Beit Siddiq, you know, one that wrote the famous book, A Non-Christian Response to Christianity, The Deceiving of the Black Race. This man is almost 90 years old and still writes books, and he does lectures. As a matter of fact, speaking historically, the Tabernacle was developed in 1901. It is actually the oldest standing Hebrew Israelite school on the planet. It's actually in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? So, well, y'all are blessed because y'all got the mighty Hebrew. You see? This verse, because you got to remember, when that statement was outlined, there wasn't nothing canonized at that time. So it had to be an expression by the way of culture. It had to be expressed by culture. So let's go into it, right? I want to read from experience have shown that the present day inhabitants of this region are not the original people of the land. Stop. So now when you start talking about things like J1, J2 haplogroups, vocab alone is a dummy. He tried to use the J1 haplogroup to prove jewelry with connections of the Lamba and those so-called Sephardim Jews that live in the so-called fake Jewish state of Israel, right? Well, and tried to make that the catalyst of searching for Jewish DNA. Are you kidding me? He's also the creator and developer of what is called the CMH, of the Cohen model, or haplo model. The CMH is what you would call the Cohen model haplogroups or haplotypes. And this is what they say. This is a scientific fact. I'm not lying. Go look it up. Go look up the 1,500 skull remains that they found in Lachish, Israel. And guess what they said them Israelites were? Negro. We're about to get there. We're going to get there after that. So watch this. He comes back to say, our studies, he says, our studies and experience have shown that the present day inhabitants of this region are not the original people of the land. The majority of those defined by modern historians as Arabs or Arabs are the descendants of European crusaders. One need only research and visit the area's back regions to discover that the world has hidden the remnants of Northeast Africa's original inhabitants. He says, so basically what Dr. Prince Shaliak is saying is you have to be on the ground to know who's who. Like for instance, when you look on TV about the state of Israel, you see white people. But if you went to Israel and you would go to places like Jerusalem, Prison Gate, if you go to the southern Negev, you go into different areas, you'll find the Afro-Palestinians. You'll see Israelites there, darker than me, and you will see Falashas over there. You will see all these real Canaanites. That's why I laugh at dumb hybrids, ancient watchmen that like to take people pictures. Like, if y'all ever look at these clowns, like they just recently took one of my pictures from the delegation, put it up there, said something about Hamites, and then went in there and just start talking a bunch of talk from off of Wikipedia. They don't have no foot knowledge, no archaeology. Like, these guys are archaeologists that actually did, real historians that did the footwork research to prove their stance. And that's the difference from our argument versus them. We're actually in the land. You see what I'm saying? And we get our own footwork and we can prove exactly what we're saying. Let's continue on. It says, our first task is to use biblical evidence, supportive academic references, and common sense logic and reason to show that the ancestral home of the original man or humanity's common ancestor was in what we know today as Africa. Now, one might say, well, you can't say Africa in the sense of how it is today because then the earth was one. Okay, we understand all that. But we're talking about Israel's origins. Remember how Adam, he was not created in the garden. He was placed in the garden. I'm going to prove that the Garden of Eden is, in fact, from Eastern Africa to Northeastern Africa. Now, when we start talking about the creator of humanity and going into the Tamar Nadu of the Numerian root ethic and Madagascar and all that, that's a whole other different subject matter and topic. When we're talking about where Adam was placed in the garden, correct? Okay, he wasn't created in the garden, and he was placed in the garden. So let's find out where this garden was. Okay? Was Africa. There's a land called God in the Bible. And it is presently. There is present controversy, fear, anger arising from the recent storm of Afrocentric religious revelation that seek that the origin of life was a religious characteristic in Africa. This anger creates a past, only by the logical reality that accompanies it. Let's stop. If you know this for ancient watchmen, this word is tested, and this even is our law. Like when you say, he did it, he was crazy. But when they fail to understand, the word is Edom, which is only talking about his vibrant character or his manly character. It's not talking about a complexion, you know what I mean, and how they're trying to convey it to the people. But people that lack Hebrew understanding or the Nicodah or the grammatical structure of Hebrew, and they only use Strong's concordances, how you going to be an Israelite that you're using a Strong's concordance? That makes no sense. You're an Israelite, you say, but all your points of reference of Hebrew is coming from a Strong's concordance. See, the reason why James White was able to so-called take advantage of Rakal before Abadi, right? Okay. He was able to attack GOCC because most of their points of reference when they deal with the Hebrew is from the Strong's Concordance. Any true Hebrew linguist know the countless, as a matter of fact, the Strong's Concordance have 16,854 mistakes. Over 16,000 mistakes. Like, here's a prime example of what I mean by mistake. If you go into Isaiah chapter 7:14, where it says the word version in your King James Version, right? We know in Hebrew the word for version is bafula. We know that. Any real Hebrew speaker knows that. But when you go into the Hebrew of that verse, it doesn't have that word there. It has the word alma, which only means a young woman, right? So if you go to any world Hebrew speaker, they know that there's a difference. But if you go to the Strong's Concordance, Strong's has the word alma there, but in his definition, he'll put the word version in. So in reality, when Strong's translates, he translates based on how the King James Version translated, not how the Hebrew itself is. That's where the error is coming in. That same book said, if the original people were in the place called Africa today, then the original occupants still have to be Africa today. So for the sake of argument, I'm not going to use the word Africa from this report. I'm going to use the word today. For the sake of argument, I'm going to keep it to not base. Because we know that that word Africa goes back to the Hebrew word Africa. We're going to get into that in a second. Okay, because it's not a Latin word. The word Africa is not a Latin word. It doesn't go back to Publius Cornelius Scipio Publius Cornelius Scipio Africanus or Neo-Africanus. That's a lie. That word goes back to the Hebrew Aramaic word afar. When you go into Genesis chapter 2:7, you're going to get into that. The Hebrew word is afar, which is soil dust. Then if you go into Genesis chapter 25, you'll see Midian had the same name afar. If you go into the book of Josephus, we clearly see that Josephus clearly said that the Afarites conquered the Plinites south of Carthage, where the Afarites, which Hannibal was a part of. We're getting all that later on as we continue. So let's go into Ben Ami's book on page 11, God, the Black Man and Truth. He says, let us look to biblical history, right, to piece the puzzle together. If you acknowledge the archaeological findings that the earliest man originated in northeastern Africa, then what is written in the Bible as it pertains to the creation of man and the Garden of Eden is confirmed. So if archaeology is saying that life started in Africa, from this day forward, Eden. If archaeologists are saying it started in Eden, which they call Africa, okay? If paleontology are finding the oldest fossils or humanoid fossils that we know in Africa, such as Homo sapiens sapiens, we know that the oldest fossils go back to Ramapithecus, which is 14.2 million BCE, that they found in the Indian subcontinent. Another story, another continent, another story, another topic. We talking about modern man they found in Africa. And if I can align the biblical facts with the secular, then that means, and now look, and if you trail down this genome or this genealogy, it will be safe to say that the children of Israel were in fact beginning or Africa. That's good. So now, Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 26. God has been in Eden according to your walk. Every such stone was uncovered. The impact, the diamond, the gold, the onyx, the sapphire, everything. The gold, the coconut, and the workmanship of God, tabernacle, and of God pipe was prepared in thee. In this day, thou was created. So let's stop. We need to stop playing games. We know for a fact all the major resources on the planet that are being used today come from Africa. That's a fact. The world objectives is being fed off of Africa. All the most precious resources, all the most precious minerals come from Africa. That's a fact, man. No more playing games with the pseudo-hypothesis, the Israelis in South America, all these games, man. We dealing with facts, man. Facts, the truth. Now let's go into the Edenic or African Genesis, shall we? Let's read the origin of modern humans. U.S. News and World Report, September 16, 1991. Page 54 and page 60. The question is who we were. So what I'm doing is I'm going to align the secular with the Tanakh evidence to prove that humans, even in the scripture, they come from Africa. And in that term, we're going to trace the lineage. They're going to try to say, well, the word Ruvain means white. It's essentially opposite. Ruvain, the Aramean, is also called Syrian, not Assyrian, but Syrian, we try to say white. I thought the original Bereshit and all that was written in Sinai Hebrew, hieroglyph. Ain't that what Moses wrote there? Moshe, Masha, Musa, whatever name you want to pronounce. That being the case, I thought the Lamid was symbolic to a staff, right? I thought the bottom, the bane was a house to go in, and then the moon or the Nile was the sea. So the bane really means one who protects the continuation of the family within the house or within the family. It don't mean white. Get out of here, man. Stop playing these games. You talking, that's Strong's. You getting the term ancient watchman white from Strong's, not from actual Hebrew. Get out of here, man. You go talk to somebody because I'm coming at y'all neck for the simple fact y'all keep trying to attack Israel, but y'all learned from us. Y'all learned really from the One West camps. That's who y'all learned it from. Watch this. Recently, revised dates, right, of modern human fossils seem to suggest an African origin. If the Out of Africa model proves even partially correct, however, it will fundamentally change our view of who we are. It suggests that in the end, all humans are in essence Africans, meaning that their original source and substance of origin, going back to the original man, woman, and child, as the late Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, God of the universe. They know who we are. Matter of fact, we the Elohim of the multiverse, because there's many universes. Let's keep going. Let's go into the search for Adam and Eve. Newsweek, January the 11th, 1988. Funny, Newsweek would have something called the search of Adam and Eve. Kind of interesting. Scientists are calling her Eve, which we know is totally correct in Latin. It's really called that. Okay? But reluctantly, the name invokes two wrong images. The weak will figure that has been misinterpreted. Okay? That they will the milk skin, beauty, and Renaissance art. Remember the Renaissance was the first. Y'all watch the Green Jewel. Watch the Green Jewel. We had Alexander, Michael remember, from the 5th century ACE to the 15th century ACE, we were ruled by the world known as the so-called Moorish Empire, which was nothing but Israelites that either converted to Islam or still upheld the Hebraic culture. We ruled, that's why in 1492, right? You see the destruction of the last stronghold of the so-called Moorish Empire in Grenada, right?
Day 389. Your boy 180 on the rise. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification button like I always say we just getting started. Let's go.
That received all the power source coming from